So welcome everybody. I'm gonna mute everybody for right now. So welcome everybody to Daily Intimacy. It's Friday and really happy once again to be with all of you. It's been such a wonderful grounding force and point of connection every day this week. And most of you heard that I'm going to continue next week, Tuesday through Friday. I'll say more about that later, but I'm really glad this was an experiment, and I feel a really good experiment. It worked really, really well. And so I'm really happy to continue that next week. So let's begin. I know there's some people still joining, so welcome to everybody who's still landing here. I invite you to say hi in the chat, to say where you're from, and it's always really good to hear on a scale of 1 to 10 how you're doing. 10 being terrific and 1 being not so great this morning. And whatever you are feeling, So all your feelings are welcome. So I want to invite you to have a deep breath and gently close your eyes. I want to invite you to take a couple of deep breaths in just that way. Nice deep breath all the way down into the belly. Then exhale with a sound or a sigh. Yeah. And just do that a couple of times. And bring the breath all the way down to the root chakra now, down to the base of your body. And exhale. And again, a nice deep breath. Allow the belly to expand and open, opening the chest. And exhale. And take a moment to make a few little micro movements. Maybe your shoulders, squeeze your shoulder blades and then release. Just open your chest and your heart a little bit this morning. Maybe some of you are still a little stiff from sleeping. And then you can raise your shoulders up towards your ears and a few movements forward and back, circles in different directions. Yeah. And then let's drop our head to the right shoulder and feel the tips of your fingers on the left side as you drop your head to the right. Extending the left arm a little bit more to give the left side of your neck a little bit of a stretch and a little bit of a deeper stretch and opening. And then inhale and bring the head back up to center. And exhale to the other side. And then as you allow your head to just be heavy, no place to go, bring your awareness to the tips of your right hand, tips of your right fingers, and allow that arm to feel a little heavier, tips of the fingers towards the floor, deepening the stretch on the right side of your neck. And then inhale back up to center. And then I invite you in your imagination, in your mind's eye, to bring your hands down to the earth. It's very rainy here in Boston, so I'm imagining really wet, moist, fertile soil. And just holding your hands on the earth, honoring her, feeling the connection between the soil, which is possibly cold, and your fingers and your palms. And as you breathe, I invite you to offer her a blessing this morning. Blessing her with love and connection, and whatever comes to your mind this morning. You might offer gratitude. With all that's happening in the world, she's there, stable, steady with us. You can always count on putting your hands on the earth and feeling the ground, helping you to ground during this time. So I invite you now to have a nice deep breath in. Exhale. And gently open your eyes when you're ready. And welcome everybody again. If you are able to put your video on, it's really lovely to see your faces in the morning. And for those of you that are here, if you can't, that's totally fine. Your presence is here no matter what. And I love seeing your faces when I can. So thank you everybody. If you've just arrived, please say hi in the chat and where you're calling in from. Lots that I missed. There we go. Oh yeah, there's more. I got it. So say hi in the chat. Scale of 1 to 10. 10, I feel terrific this morning. 1, I'm feeling not so great. And I am really happy to welcome Brynn this morning. It's really, yeah, exactly. Laura's clapping. I like that. Yeah, thank you so much. Brynn and I have been friends for a really long time now. I don't remember the year that you moved out here, but I'm guessing it was in the
2008.
Yeah, I was going to say, right. That's the year that I should know and remember, which I do for other reasons. But yes, 2008, meeting you at dance camp in Maine. And yeah, Brynn and I have just been like dancing around and partnering in all kinds of ways for all these years, doing work that parallels each other, different but similar. And yeah, just been thrilled to see you thriving and growing in yourself and what you're bringing to the world. It's always been really beautiful and deep, and still grows and change over the years, and wonderful. So I'm really happy to have you here. And really, the topic of resilience during this time is so important. It's important always, but especially now. So I'm really happy that that's what you chose to share with us this morning. So I'm looking forward to participating and hearing and sharing the space with you this morning. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just a reminder, if you want to see Brynn in the big screen, you can click speaker view and she will show up there. And I'll be taking some notes in the chat, and this is interactive. So I just want to say that before Brynn starts and introduces herself. But this is interactive. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. At certain points, we might ask for people to share. You can, say in the chat, I'd like to share, or you can raise your hand. I'll monitor that. But we really want this to be interactive and inclusive of everybody. So, okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Robyn. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. I'm so glad you put this together. It's a wonderful way to bring us all together during this time. And I've been working a lot with resilience for myself, and in my private practice, it's one of the key focuses right now, particularly working with individuals, but also with couples, how each individual can find resilience in themselves, and then bring that more resilient self to the partnership. So I want to start off by talking a little bit giving kind of a framework for understanding how stress affects the nervous system, what happens in the nervous system. So I'm actually going to do a little diagram to demonstrate this. So we have what's called our window of tolerance, that, you know, life is going on and our nervous system is, you know, going along here, and something happens, someone says something, or something happens to a friend, and we might feel a little down. And then we do our morning practice, you know, our meditation, our movement, whatever it is, and we come back up, and maybe we do a gratitude practice, and that elevates us a little more. And then, you know, we're just kind of going along in life, and then we turn on the news and our anxiety spikes. It's like, holy shit, what's going on out there? The numbers are increasing radically. What's going to happen? Our hypervigilance kicks in, and our amygdala's, you know, sounding the alarm, and our system's getting flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, and our adrenals are working overtime. And then we might plummet into depression, freeze, like overwhelm. So I know that when I'm not being mindful enough of my consumption of information, this is what I'm experiencing. And then I go into overwhelm and freeze, and it's like, holy shit, I don't have any control over this. Like, I thought I was doing everything I could, you know, I'm staying home, I'm not interacting with people, and still the numbers are increasing. So then I get frozen. So what do we do when we're here? Now, this is our sympathetic nervous system going into hypervigilance and anxiety. And this is our parasympathetic going into freeze. So these are our survival mechanisms kicking in. And when we are in either of these extreme states, our rational mind gets like shut off a bit, because in survival mode, we don't have time to logically think about our best escape route if the saber-toothed tiger's right there. So this is like really fundamental survival mode that gets kicked in. But when we can come back to our senses and remember we have tools, this is where we can bring ourselves out of either extreme back into the center. We can do our grounding and our protection practices and our gratitude practices, and come back into a place of resilience. So resilience happens within our window of tolerance. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today are various ways, different tools to help bring you back into this. And what happens is, with these tools, the more often that you practice them and you access resilient state in your nervous system, you're actually helping deepen those grooves. So for someone who has trauma in their past, and can spin out into a trauma loop, you know, where that gets activated, and maybe, you know, this situation could be increasing that for people, where it's like, what trauma is, as defined by one of my teachers, Peter Levine, who's a pioneer in the field of understanding how trauma gets stored in the nervous system, and pioneering methodology to very gently release trauma from the nervous system without re-traumatizing and deepening those grooves. So he defines trauma as when the amount of stimulus is greater than we can digest, than we can integrate, then we experience trauma. So we go into either, you know, out of that range of resilience into overwhelm, anxiety in the sympathetic, or shut down and freeze, which is a pre-death state. Like it's energy conservation, our digestive system gets shut offline. This is all survival, right? And this is, you can imagine in the wild, like a rabbit, a fox comes by and the rabbit goes into freeze and plays dead. This is what happens when we go into freeze. If we don't feel that we can act successfully by either fighting or fleeing, then the next option for survival is freeze. And it's this pre-death state. So all of these functions get shut down. So when we're in this overwhelm in our nervous system, our digestion can go haywire. And you know, all kinds of autoimmune disorders are, you know, kind of feed on this situation in the nervous system. So after the fox, say the fox goes on by, the rabbit is then safe. And what happens in the wild is that some animals shake off that freeze, like all those chemicals that got dumped into the nervous system during that freeze, and all that energy that it takes to hold everything, all that freeze energy, they shake it off. And then, like in the case of the rabbit, they bound for joy. And it's like this elation, like, I'm alive. And so when you're working with trauma, which may be kicked up for people, which is why I'm mentioning it here, and you have safe ways to kind of thaw that freeze and come back into a state of resiliency, there's this relief and joy that can be experienced on the other side. So there's actually methodology for rewiring the brain out of these hypervigilant states of anxiety or freeze. And when we do these practices, like I said before, we're deepening those neural pathways in the nervous system that have us feel calm and relaxed and safe, where our digestion can come back online, and our creativity comes back online, our enjoyment, our ability to be present in the moment with our sensations, with our loved ones, to experience pleasure. All of this happens in this resilient state. So the very first tool that probably everyone knows is the most fundamental tool. And so I'm going to have us, Robyn had us doing a little bit at the beginning. I'm going to have us do a little bit more right now. And this is taking deep, full breaths. And I'm going to explain also the science behind why that's so effective. Because our breath is the only autonomic system that we can actually have conscious control over. It is the bridge between our body and our mind and our body, where we can actually have control and affect what's happening in our nervous system. So it's also the bridge between our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. So switching, when we're in survival mode, we tend to breathe very shallowly and quickly, just the top portion of the lungs. Right? Or when we're in freeze, we might even hold our breath for periods of time, and we might not even be aware of it. But this is adding to those chemicals of that freeze in our nervous system. So when we remember to consciously take deep, full breaths, it signals to our nervous system that we're safe. And it's this trigger to switch back into rest and digest mode. So the more capacity of your lung that you can fill with your breath, the more effective this is. Usually we only use maybe the top third or 2/3 of our lung capacity. When we can breathe all the way down into the belly, we bring in a full lung capacity of breath, and we're bringing in fresh oxygen and nutrients for our cells as well, for our brains. And when we release fully, so really bringing the navel to the spine, and we'll practice this together in a moment, releasing fully, exhaling all that CO2, we're releasing toxins from our system. So our cells are producing toxins all the time, and especially when we're in survival mode. So this is really beneficial for detoxing and energizing, accessing your vitality, your aliveness, and really bringing nutrients to every cell in your body. So now that you have a little bit of background of all the benefits of deep breath, let's take some deep, full breaths together. So I invite you to feel your feet on the ground. Feel your sits bones in contact with the chair or whatever surface you're sitting on. And allow your breath to become deeper and fuller with each inhale. Taking a deep, full inhale. And a slow, sustained exhale. Breathing at your own pace. And I invite you at the top of the next inhale to hold your breath for a moment of stillness, of fullness. As long as it's comfortable, and then releasing with a slow, sustained exhale. I recommend inhaling through the nose for its calming effects, and exhaling either through the nose or the mouth. Exhaling through the mouth is more of a releasing breath. Exhaling through the nose is a more calming breath. So you can play with that and see the different effects of that. Continuing to inhale, deep, full breath. Again, hold at the top, inviting a moment of peace. And exhaling, navel to the spine. Inhaling. Holding, coming back home to yourself. And releasing, navel to spine. Inhaling, holding, feeling your fullness, your okayness in this moment. And releasing any surface tensions on the exhale. Continuing. Holding at the top. And releasing. Let's do 2 more breaths. Inhaling. Holding. I find the hold to be the thing that really switches my nervous system. And releasing. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. You don't have to do it. See what works for you. Inhaling. inviting joy and gratitude in this moment. And releasing and then breathing naturally. Take a few moments to notice what's shifted in your experience. Notice your mood, your sensations in your body. What's happening with your breath as you're breathing naturally now? And then when you're ready, you can gently come back, and I invite you to post in the chat what you noticed from a few minutes of centering breath. Wow, I never thought breath as a bridge between our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. That makes so much sense. Yeah, it's an incredible tool. Deep breaths are safe breaths. Yes. Deeper relaxation, peace and joy. Oh, Jess, so nice to see you. Further full breaths give us a safety feeling. Yes. Life-saving, reawakening. Beautiful. The holding is the best part. That's where I can feel the energy move and pulsate. Yes, for me too. The hold at the top doesn't work for everyone. I've worked with some clients who it actually makes them nervous to hold their breath. But for most people that I've worked with, it has the same effect as it does for me. So that's why I say, play with it and see what works for you. For me, the hold at the top is the biggest reset for my nervous system. It really drops my nervous system into that place of deep relaxation. And as you can tell, I think I was talking pretty fast at the beginning. My nervous system was a little hyped up. And just doing that breath, I could feel my system calm. And even I think my voice sounds a little deeper right now. Yeah. Swirling energy in the beginning that settled more and more with each breath. Beautiful. More aware of my body and what it needs. Yeah, it needs to stretch. Good. Slower heartbeat. Yes. So this is the number one tool that I give my clients, particularly when they're dealing with anxiety. And just even feeling the slower heartbeat can be, it has a that reinforcing loop of oh, I'm calm, or it's safe. Oh, I'm safe. Now the next tool is adding sound, because what happens when we make sounds is that it activates the vagus nerve, VAGAS. So not like Las Vegas. But the vagus nerve is this amazing nerve that runs all the way through our core. It's the only nerve that runs all the way through our core outside of our spinal column. So it passes close to our vocal cords and around our viscera, our organs. So it's very key in a number of things. One, in signaling when we're making sound, feeling that vibration in that nerve tells our nervous system, oh, we're safe. Because if we're not safe, we're like that rabbit. We're not making a peep. because we don't want to call attention to us when there's threat and danger. And this is an automatic response, right? So even if you are feeling in this state, you know, you opened up Facebook and you saw a post, or you opened up a new tab in your internet server, and there's the news, and suddenly you're like, ugh. If you take a few deep breaths and let out sound, which we'll do together in a moment, this even amplifies the relaxation response in the nervous system. So let's do that now. And I'm not monitoring the chat as I'm speaking right now, but I'll
That's
look
okay.
at it.
I'm monitoring the chat.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I want to just, before you do that, just say that Sylvia asked you to also talk about freeze and what, you know, how to manage that. So.
Yes, so all of this is really good for freeze as well, both anxiety and freeze. So when we're in this freeze, and thanks for letting me know about the question, Robyn. When we're in this freeze, anytime we're in a triggered state of survival, whether it's in the sympathetic, hyper overstimulation of our sympathetic nervous system, or this freeze in our parasympathetic, when we can remember that we have tools to access, we can consciously take deeper breaths, even if it feels forced in the beginning because we're in a contraction. It will start to trigger the response of, oh, it's okay, I'm safe. Adding the sound will increase that. So let's practice it together right now and see what the effect is. So we'll do, you can make any sound at all that you want. You're muted, so you don't have to worry about what you sound like. It can be, you can hum. For some clients that I work with, it's like too much to even make sounds. So then I suggest humming as a kind of safe bridge to making sound. Or you can just make any vowel sound or any sound at all. So I'll do kind of a variety to give you, to kind of model kind of the range of what's possible. And you can try any of it on if you like. So let's start with humming together. We'll take some deep, full breaths. And this could be good if you're like in a freeze, because it can be like nurturing, like an internal massage. You can even rock, it's self-soothing. When we rock babies, there's something about rocking, it's very soothing. So this can be a very nurturing way to bring ourselves back gently out of freeze. I like to add touch to this when I'm doing a nurturing practice. So maybe just a gentle caress. Like you would an infant or a young child, like, it's okay. Especially if we're cocooning alone during this time and we don't have touch from someone else. So important to give ourselves nurturing touch. Also so good for our nervous systems and our mental health and well-being. So let's stay with this nurturing humming and self-caress, rocking, whatever way you want to explore that right now for a few minutes. Maybe sending energy into your heart. And along with this nurturing, you can send compassion to the parts of yourself that feel scared right now, that feel overwhelmed. So just sending compassion and love and kindness and gentleness. Like, yeah, it's okay. And you're not in this alone. We're all in this together. We've got community, thank goodness. Wow, like that brings tears to my eyes, just knowing that we're here for each other is so important, especially during times like this. And I feel it now more than ever, because we seriously are, like, in an unprecedented way, all going through this together. The whole entire planet, like, really, I'm feeling so much our global community. And I'm just so grateful that we have the internet and we have this means to come together and support each other and be in community and experience not being alone and being connected. So I'm just gonna breathe that in. So now I'm gonna invite an open mouth ah sound, which is the sound of the heart chakra. Again, very soothing, and it activates our heart energy even more. And again, I invite you to continue to move in any way that your body spontaneously wants to move, to continue with self-touch if you like, whatever feels good and nourishing to you right now. You can have your eyes closed, or you can have your eyes open and see that you're here with everyone else. I'm going to switch to gallery view so I can see everyone. And you can play with connecting with that there's community here with your eyes open, and going inward with your eyes closed to feel the vibration, feel the nourishment inside, connect with self. Great. So I want to invite you to share in the chat what you noticed from the humming, the nurturing, maybe the rocking, the self-touch, the awe. Any of those resonate for you? I'd love to hear. Release. Touch with compression feels so nurturing. Yes, sometimes when I need grounding, thank you for putting that in there, Anna. It's a great thing to mention. So compression really helps me ground when I'm feeling ungrounded. So you can give yourself compression with a hug. You can lean into your hips or your thighs. If you have someone else there with you, they can put pressure on your shoulders. You can do this sitting, standing, or lying down. Is really nice to have compression on your shoulders, on your hips, on your large muscles. Very useful for grounding and coming back into the body and into the present moment. Vicky, I'm learning how to appreciate the feel of my own skin. Lovely. Jessica, vibrations through my heart, up my spine. Beautiful. It all resonated. I feel much more relaxed and even sleepy. Beautiful. Wow, to be able to come into such a state of relaxation that you feel sleepy. When our nervous system is in survival mode, there's so much adrenaline and cortisol being pumped through our system that we often are just like in this go, go, go mode. If we're in like hyper, like we got to keep going and get things done. I got to just like, I don't have time to feel because I need to get things done. Right. Or also all of that's in our system when we're like shut down and I can't even do anything. When we actually switch out of survival into true relaxation in this resilient part of our nervous system, we can feel very tired if we haven't been able to fully rest and let our nervous system down. So just know that that is very common, and it's really, really beneficial when you have time to let yourself do these practices and let yourself rest, let yourself go into a deep state of rest. The best thing that you can do for yourself. Yes, nurturing feels so good. Just to remember, I can do it anytime. Yes. Tears of compassion for us all. Beautiful. I'm gonna cough. Try to mute myself so I don't cough in your ear. Ah, great. Robyn says, I use my dog. His weight feels so good to me right now. Yes, I do that with my cat. Actually does it to me. She just comes and lays on my chest and purrs in my heart. I was like, oh, she's such a medicine kitty. So we have a few more minutes. I'd like to give a few more tools and then open it up for questions. Maybe we have time for one more tool. I've given some, maybe we have time for two, we'll see. I'd like to give you another calming grounding tool, and then I'd like to give you a tool for release if you're feeling a lot of emotion. So we'll first the grounding one. Feeling into the soles of your feet. Imagine that you can grow roots down into the earth, into that rich, moist, fertile soil that Robyn was talking about at the beginning. And I'm going to invite you to imagine, see, the earth has this electromagnetic grid. I want you to imagine that your roots can reach down and connect to that electromagnetic grid, which is like the nervous system of Mother Earth. And she can help regulate your nervous system. So just by visualizing that you're growing your roots down into the earth, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm doing this and talking about it. Growing your roots down into the earth and connecting your roots into the nervous system of Mama Earth can also help down regulate your nervous system. So we're not going to spend time with that right now, but I just wanted to give you that as another tool. So I'm going to switch modes. If you're feeling a lot of emotion, anxiety, angst, anger, maybe you're cooped up with someone else, I'm going to invite you to stand. So I'm standing. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead and stand for this. You know, some of us are sheltering in place alone, and others of us are like suddenly 24/7 with people in our home when we're not used to being together that often. And, you know, it can get a little claustrophobic, frustrations, your nerves can get on end. So I want to give you a tool for releasing. And this is going to be using movement, breath, and sound. And I'm going to invite you to stand and feel your feet on the earth. Feel the weight of your body in contact with the floor. So really feel the sensations at the soles of your feet, of your weight in contact with the ground. And then I'm going to invite you to start to feel a tremor or a shaking in your legs, coming up from your feet, your ankles, up through your knees, your thighs, into your pelvis, all the way up the spine. Letting that vibration increase and shaking through your shoulders, all of your joints, your elbows, your wrists, your fingers, your neck, letting your neck be relaxed so you're not holding your head up, but letting go. And then begin to let out sound. And it can sound like anything. Oh, sorry, there's a light right behind me. So it can be sounds of frustration if that's what you're feeling. Give it movement, let it out. Let that energy move through you so it doesn't get stuck in you in a really safe, productive way. Oh, maybe I'm feeling overwhelming sadness. Letting yourself wail is so therapeutic. Coughing is a way of releasing energy. Burping is a way of releasing energy. We don't want these energies to get imploded and stuck within us. That does us harm. We want, in order to come back into resiliency, to be able to let those emotions move through in a safe, productive way. So let's take a moment to come back and settle after that release. I invite you to put a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly. A little aftercare after the release. Breathing into your palms. And sending love and compassion and tenderness into your heart and into your belly. Our belly is an amazing place. Our gut has as many nerve connections as our brain. It's called our second brain. And when we have a gut instinct, I highly recommend that you listen, because this is a portal to our intuition. There's a lot of wisdom there. Susan says, thanks, Brynn. Just what I needed. You're so welcome, Susan. So lovely to see you here. Yeah, so feel free to go ahead and jot in the chat what you're noticing from that. Any takeaways, and what are your biggest takeaways? And then Robyn, do you, I'm happy to take any questions. I know we have about 6 more minutes, so.
Yeah, great. That was really wonderful, Brynn. Somebody put it right in the chat in the beginning. It was a beautiful way to explain exactly what happens, you know, in an understandable way in our nervous system. And I love the visual of like staying in this resilient space where we're able to make clear decisions and take care of ourselves really well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And
I
I know.
want to just read what Holly wrote.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry to interrupt,
yeah.
because I think this is a really good point, Holly. Holly
Mm,
says, I think of the gut as our third brain and the heart as our second brain, the center of intelligence. And actually in Hinduism, when they talk about the brain, they're actually referring to the heart.
mm.
So yes, a lot of intelligence here as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, some really wonderful comments here.
Oh, I should mention that I am offering free guided morning practice, 20-minute morning practice, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Zoom
Awesome.
for the rest of the whole month of April. So if you want, and each one will be slightly different. I'll be guiding different practices using visualization, movement, breath, meditation,
Mm.
and community connection to have a touchstone to come back to center, to reset the nervous system, and to access joy and connection.
Yeah, send me the link if you haven't already, Brynn, so that I can send that out specifically for people to sign up for
Sure,
that,
sure.
because that would be great. And I know you've been doing them this week, and some people have been
Yeah.
going there and coming here and saying how great they are. So,
It's been so uplifting. It's been such an amazing way to start the day that, yeah, I was like, this is so good. We just have to continue all month.
yeah, it's great. So send me the link, and that way everybody will have it. They can find you, and as you all know, I'll be sending out the recording, and I'll be sending out the way to contact Brynn, and also now it sounds like definitely the link to participate in those morning 20-minute practices. That would be really great.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess I just want to say thank you. So maybe people could put in the chat like what they're taking with them in the last couple of minutes. And if you have questions, you can email Brynn. You actually can see her email right on her screen, which is very clever.
Oh, I don't know how to change that. That just came up automatically.
I can tell you. But anyway, I'll also be sending it out. But in case you want to jot it down right now, you can just see Brynn at conscious-intimacy.com to ask her any follow-up questions.
Yeah.
And make some connection. But also anything you're taking with you in the chat for the next 2 minutes would be lovely to see. And just a reminder while you're doing that, that we will be meeting next week. Monday, we have Fireside Chat at 10 a.m. And then I'll do this daily intimacy Tuesday through Friday. And we have really wonderful people coming. We've got Kim Childs, who's a positive psychology coach, Maria Merloni, who's a sex and relationship coach, and Lisa Campion, who's an incredible psychic healer, spiritual guide, amazing woman, powerful psychic energy. She's going to be talking about how to use our intuition and what happens when we're like really sensitive to what's going on out there. And it all dovetails with, what you brought today, Brynn, and what was brought all week, actually. So yeah, it'll be really beautiful next week. So please do join us. There's another registration link for next week. It's a separate registration. You have to register yourself again. But please do that. You got the link in the email. People just sending thank you. You've added grace and love to us all. Yeah, it was so beautiful, Brynn. This is for this moment, and for our better future. Yes. No need to wait for love. It's right here always. Absolutely. So grateful.
Yes.
Feeling energized, and just glad all sorts of practitioners are talking about fight or flight in the autonomic nervous system. Yes, we did have couple people this week, and yeah, the stress triggers and managing stress, so important. And the deep breathing really works. As amazing as it is, it really, really works. And I love that you added the sound and the movement piece. I wanted to throw something out here just at the end, and that is that I'm actually about to make myself a vision board of all my tools. And
nice.
I didn't make that up. Somebody else did it in another group. And so I'm just suggesting anybody that calls to, because it's hard to remember in those moments,
Yes,
what the tools are.
That reminds me that I also have some resources on my website, consciousintimacy.com. I have under resources tab a recommended reading list. So there's section there about trauma. There's some of Peter Levine's work. There's about communication, about tools, spiritual tools for everyday living and wellness. And then I also have recommended websites for where you can go to other practitioners' websites where they have free downloads of guided meditations, self-compassion, and things like that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so good. Check all that out. Everybody will. And I'm just going to wish everybody a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here. It was really, really lovely. And thank you so much, Brynn.
You're so welcome.
Well,
thank you all for showing up. So grateful to be with you.
Yeah. Wishing
Have
you
a
all
blessed weekend.
blessed weekend, and I'll see you next week. Yeah, lots of love, everybody. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.